Well, Chelsea are the talk of the town in world football at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, and that is because they are champions of the world. That's right, absolutely decimating, surgically deconstructing, slapping up Paris Saint-Germain in the Club World Cup final. Of course, a PSG who are widely regarded as the best team on planet Earth, who of course, had massive score lines against Atletico Madrid. Of course, Real Madrid in the semi-final, 4-0. They beat Inter Milan 5-0 in the European Cup final, a record-breaking defeat in the final. They are, everyone losing their minds over them. And you can talk, opposition fans can banter about this being an invitational friendly, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Every single team wanted this win, wanted this trophy in the competition. Everyone wanted it. There was, even look at the final, there was fights, there was dismissals, loads of cards, passion, tears. It's not just the South American clubs. Everyone really wanted this trophy. And of course, there's lots of money involved. In this video, I want to speak about Enzo Maresca's tactical masterclass. Again, not just Cole Palmer on the big stage, everyone waxing lyrical rightly. Everyone rightly waxing lyrical about this very young Chelsea team, about this very embryonic Chelsea project that people were taking the mick out of. You had Jamie Carragher, that clip of him going, "Why would you join Chelsea? It's not a young and exciting team." Those words have been crammed down his throat. Enzo Maresca's first debut season, achieving top 4 when he only needed top 5 for Champions League, winning the Conference League in style with an excellent performance in the final against good opposition in Real Betis. And the Club World Cup, man, maybe it's slightly easier run to the final, but meeting Thanos, at the end and defeating him, it's incredible, really. And everyone related to Chelsea, hierarchy, coaching staff, players, rightly getting their flowers now. So it's very, very pleasing to see as a Chelsea fan, and we're going to get into it today a little bit more calmly. Of course, I did an instantaneous reaction here on the channel Football Therapy. Go watch that if you want a little bit more of a visceral, screamy version of myself, which you might enjoy. But in the meantime, I welcome you back, man. Thank you for joining me. A little bit more of a measured, analytical video. Everyone's welcome here on Football Therapy. It is the road to 200,000 subscribers, so do consider subscribing if you want to, and hitting the bell if you choose to, and dropping a like and all that stuff. Cool, so I want to talk a little bit about the tactical setup first, and then I'm going to read a little bit on The Athletic, a long read from Liam Toomey, just a segment of the journey, how we got here, the finances, but the game a little bit more first, and then the wider ramifications afterwards. Going into this, no one gave Chelsea a snowball's chance in hell to win this game. Of course, they thought, they might not get as embarrassed as Inter Milan or Real Madrid because they learnt from that, but there's no way they're winning. And then you've got the confidence, pre-game confidence from everyone. From, I think Jacob Steinberg said in the pre-match press conference to Maresca, the Guardian Chelsea correspondent, like, "Oh yeah, you're not going to have any of the ball. How are you going to deal with it? Is it going to be important?" He was like, "What? Who told you that?" And everyone was just putting their chest out saying, no, we are Chelsea. Everyone's talking, Cole Palmer said it in his post-match interview with DAZN, everyone's been talking S-word about us, and it made it even better. Levi Colwill said the exact same thing. He says, we're not Chelsea. So he says, we're Chelsea, we're not Inter Milan, we're not Real Madrid. Essentially saying, like, we ain't going to get slapped, mate. We're different gravy granules. We may be the youngest Premier League team in history, one that got to a top 4 position, which is a great achievement in itself. That I know everyone's been playing the youth card a lot, but it's really worth mentioning. And Reece James saying, yeah, we're going to win. Which is lovely. I think Chelsea might be back. Right, so how do we set up? Well, it's really interesting. I'm going to use this tactical board here from tacticalboard.com. It's just an easy, basically, tool I can use. So essentially, we saw this lineup and we thought, Gusto starting and Reece James. I guess Lavia wasn't totally fit, but some people hoped for Santos maybe to join Caicedo and Gusto to not play. But to his credit, like even before this game, Gusto had been playing better. It's almost like Maresca's worked him out a little bit to make him hold width a little bit more. So what we actually did was the width was being held by Pedro Neto on the left, almost acting as a left wing back, and Gusto holding the width on the right. Here, we're sort of making a back three like this with Cucurella, but Cucurella actually occupied a pocket up here sometimes as well, and Colwill moved over. And we really, really flooded the spaces here, and Enzo would go up to like here. James, I saw occupying this central role really high, pressing incredibly high. So obviously in possession, pressing really high like this. And actually at times, what happened was, it was, say if Cucurella was creating a back three, this is what I found really interesting. We pressed in a 5-2-3. And this is a really aggressive, brave press. Because what usually happens with Pochettino's Chelsea, with Maresca's Chelsea, and indeed you see all the time with elite top-level teams, they out of possession, you just press in a 4-4-2, and the front two run around like crazy. It was like Gallagher and Jackson, or Gallagher and Jackson and Palmer. We saw loads, like players that you know can run and press really well. There's a front two in our possession. You have two banks of four. I know 4-4-2 seems like a bit of an ancient, meme formation, but you see it all the time. The front two press from the front, and then the rest, the second bank, know when to go. So to actually say, right, well, we're really going to press Paris Saint-Germain, which is a really brave thing, but we want to do it with three players. I don't know why Neto's back there. He should be a bit more like sorry, I realized I've changed it there. So let's go back to how we were actually pressing in like a 5-2-3. So the 5 was sort of here. Neto was like the width, Gusto was the width. And then you had James and Caicedo. And Fernandez, for example, coming up here. Sometimes Neto, depending. Where you had 3 people pressing from the front, which is really, really brave. Not the 2, but there was a really aggressive press. And you had both Cole Palmer and Levi Colwill post-match really praising Maresca for his tactical plan. He said the gaffer set us up perfectly, when Cole Palmer, of course, involved with all 3 goals, scoring 2 of them and assisting 1 of them, saying, yeah, the gaffer had an amazing plan. He set us up perfectly. He knew where the spaces were. He found a way to get me space. And this is the thing. Get your best player in the best positions to score. Cole Palmer, he did that. The Chelsea manager completely executed it perfectly. And Cole Palmer did have such spaces. He had an amazing performance as well. Like second goal where he sold 3 dummy shuffles, sat down the entire defence and put it in the bottom corner. I mean, that's obviously form and confident Cole Palmer, which is different gravy granules, mate. It doesn't matter who you are. And what's real testament to Maresca is after the second goal, the DAZN coverage sort of panned to the PSG coaching staff on the bench, and they were just like, what is happening? How is he doing this? And they're like, at the moment, the pinnacle of football coaching and tactics, but they are the dogmatic, philosophical, well, you know exactly how they're going to play. Do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't know. Maresca set up a tactical plan to beat PSG. PSG just play how they play because they've refined. They've kind of do like a Pep Guardiola, like at his peak, his Barcelona. He's refined football. He's beaten it. He's found the Rubik's Cube, the undefeatable Rubik's Cube combination. So why change it? But Maresca figured it out and was like, this is how we're going to play. So, yes, combinations as well is really, really important. We saw lots of actual width from Gusto, and this is Pochettino's version of Gusto that played really, really well, combining a lot with Cole Palmer, of course. Cole Palmer also shifting over, I've got him here as a goat, you probably noticed by now, to the left pocket sometimes as well to create overloads. And then obviously one of his goals is when Gusto comes right inside, takes a shot, bounces out, space is being occupied. Cole Palmer puts it in there. Lovely indeed. Joao Pedro as well, really worth mentioning him here because he's he basically, if you look at his touch map, he's so different to Delap as well because his touch map is everywhere but the 18-yard box. I know he scored a lovely chip from a ball from Cole Palmer, running in, chips to Donnarumma. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong play. Cole Palmer plays him in, gets it to Joao Pedro, and he chips Donnarumma. Beautiful scenes indeed. But yeah, his touch map is nowhere near the box. It's all over the gaff. It's literally he was defending the near post. He was getting all over the gaff. You see Delap come on. He starts deeper, running in behind. We saw him run twice and 4 saves from Donnarumma, Liam Delap. But it was completely different. We've got a false 9 here, and we've got a facilitator. I always use the example of Roberto Firmino as like the most recent example of an elite false 9 that makes Salah and at the time Sadio Mane better and gets loads of goals out of them. I do view Joao Pedro as that kind of player. Maybe a little bit more direct. Incidentally, you know, Brazilians, so the false nines here, and I think Nicholas Jackson is in trouble because he's closer in shape and style of Delap than he is in Joao Pedro, but Delap looks like he could be more of a Maresca favourite. But in terms of supercharging the attack, it does look like Joao Pedro is the solution. Yes, so I was really impressed with that 3-man press out of possession. You know, in possession, pushed really, really high and aggressively. James, like I said, like coming up really, really high as well, but also doing some great work coming across. Neto, loads of selfless runs, didn't get found a lot, but held a lot of the width. Didn't go completely up to the byline, to the touch line, but you know, we had other players crashing. It was basically a completely tailor-made plan. Again, you look at the touch maps of other players. Enzo sort of left pocket. Cole Palmer occupying the right pocket a little bit, with a little bit of overlap, and the left flank, Correa, Enzo Fernandez, who didn't move too much. He sort of occupied a really sort of a little bit more of a restricted role. The freest roles coming from, of course, Cole Palmer and Joao Pedro that had license to touch more, touch different kinds of pockets all over the pitch. And Caicedo mopping up as well, but lots more regimented and restricted roles from others. Gusto, very, very good. Very frustrated with him taking that shot on when he should have played in another player. There was a couple of instances of that, but he's obviously yet to score his first Chelsea goal. And yeah, man, when that happens, he'll make better decisions, I think. But I'm very pleased, bro. I'm very pleased with the performance from Malo Gusto. Now, sorry if I was rambling a little bit there. I saw it in the game, that really, really intelligent, really creative out-possession press, but also in the instantaneous reaction, we of course looked at the SofaScore game as well. The SofaScore stats, because it shows you the touch maps, and it's really sort of useful as well for that. I'll quickly pull them up here once more before we move on. So, Gusto holding the width on the right-hand side, a little bit more defensive in the end, of course, because we played without the ball in the second half, because we're 3-0 up. So he's on the width on the right, Kukurea width on the left, but as you can see, going into that left defensive pocket quite a lot, left number 6, which is interesting, because Caicedo went all over the gaff, and Reece James playing in the right sort of pocket there. So they are really blocking all the spaces. Fernandez, a little bit more... left pocket-ish, but as you can see, that touch map in his defensive half as well, probably more seeing it out. Cole Palmer holding the width on the right, but also a license to move across to the left. As you can see, him and Gusto combining, him mainly on front, coming inside, and like Cole Palmer said, it was the perfect game plan to afford him space. And Joao Pedro, I just wanted to show you this. He had a couple of touches in the 18-yard box, but not many. He's not like an Erling Haaland where they will all be inside the 18-yard box. That is the quintessential false 9 touch map. All over the place, impossible to pick up. I'm sure Ousmane Dembele would be similar. There you go. Who is another quintessential proper false 9. These guys aren't strikers that stay in the box. They play all over the gaff and they're impossible to pick up. It really is elite stuff. Very exciting indeed. If you can't get a Victor Osimhen to like just chill in the box, get yourself a Joao Pedro. Right, let me just get this ready. Right. An amazing tactical masterclass from Enzo Maresca, but I want to read a little bit from The Athletic from Liam Twomey, a little bit more of a sort of chronology of what's going on and what happened in the Club World Cup. It's always been taken seriously in the Chelsea boardroom, even before FIFA finally secured the venues, a broadcaster and sponsors during a frazzling lead up to the inaugural expanded version of this competition. Chelsea always took it seriously. When deciding upon Pochettino's fate, Chelsea did not know the precise riches on offer. FIFA had made clear it would be a potential Champions League level money. In the end, Chelsea leave the United States $114 million richer, better off as winners of the tournament, but also the prestige, guys. The Club World Cup. Think about this. The Club World Cup badge on the shirt for 4 seasons. I tell you what, sitting down at the table with sponsors, with negotiating new front of shirt sponsors, now you're in a really strong bargaining position. The figure will be subject to taxes and must be set against Chelsea not being able to do their own money-spinning pre-season tour. Yeah, but the pre-season tour money is nominal in comparison. But it remains an essential windfall in the context of the FP rules and PSR, of course. Chelsea were recently punished with a fine, £27 million, I believe it was. And we've already spent over £100 million this summer on Joao Pedro, Jamie Gittins and Liam Delap. And of course, more arrivals are expected. Oh God, with Man United's Alejandro Garnacho a long-term consideration. Bury the bad news in the good news. Being crowned champions of the world will thrill the club's accountants as well as their fans, giving the increased commercial opportunities that status should offer, like I just said. While for Parma, it could be a transformational moment. The forward was one of the poster boys for the tournament, featured heavily in all the promotional material advertising throughout. It was his face that loomed large, of course, on the billboard across Times Square. The scary good tagline, and of course it was him and Ousmane Dembele on the Rockefeller Center girder thing, you know, amazing photo shoot, you know, the Ballon d'Or content leader, front runner, and Ousmane, and Cole Palmer, who now just dunked on him. One man, Cole Palmer obviously got his trophy, his medal, player of the match, player of the competition, trophy haul. Parma certainly lived up to the hype in the final. 2 identical first half finishes with an assist also for Joao Pedro, rendering what should have been an onerous task against PSG into a procession. Speaking before the final, Tosin said, who has become virtually inseparable double act with Parma, his life has changed in the past 2 years. As banter sometimes, I call him like a little superstar, but he handles it very well. He knows he's focused on his career in football. Cole Palmer, again, he said everyone talks a lot of S-word about us all season. He's super chill, isn't he? In his post-match little interview, Palmer was like, yeah, another final, I've done it again. I think he's got like 8 or 9 goal involvements in 6 finals. By the way, Southgate's still got blood in his hands for not starting him more in that Euros. The final may have ultimately been routine, but Chelsea's journey there was anything but. Due to a convoluted criteria, of course, we qualified from the 2021 winning the Champions League. The club was then owned by, of course, Abramovich and is now scarcely recognisable from that night. Since then, Chelsea have been placed under sanctions, of course. The club, Bowley and Clearlake bought Chelsea. They wiped the club clean and started again. When Chelsea played Fluminense in the semi-final last week, Thiago Silva was a player on the field who was in the starting 11 when Chelsea won the Champions League, and he was representing the Brazilian side, of course, having left. And we've signed some 48 players have signed since the new owners. 48! On the ground in the US, Chelsea have faced obstacles, including the daft red card for striker Nicholas Jackson, and faced a 5-hour game against Benfica. Very, very tough. And insane conditions out in America, of course. Ridiculously hot. Like, so tough, bro. Maresca, meanwhile, has had plenty of complaints. He described the circumstances in Charlotte as a joke, but he also sounded about his players' workload as well. Chelsea's competitive season began on August the 18th last year, which makes this a 329-day campaign. He also had concerns about the temperatures, which we've spoken about. While Chelsea could not control the weather, they found a way to try and seize the competitive advantages. They offered players bonuses on par with those that might have received Premier League champions. Oh, they didn't know. Big financial bonuses to Chelsea if they won. So they made the money! The ownership moved fast to secure Delap's signature, of course. We tried to get Gittins before Dortmund registered him for the Club World Cup, but we couldn't do that. Again, still insane from Dortmund to do that, I think. It just served no purpose for anyone. Especially considering he wasn't playing for Dortmund. When the transfer window reopened mid-tournament, of course, we signed Joao Pedro. This bro, like, straight off a Brazilian beach, was on his holiday. He's come in and he literally was... Dare I say, he was integral. He was integral to us becoming world champions. Joao Pedro. Incredible, bro. While steps were taken to bolster the squad, the club were not prepared to hinder the overall long-term planning, of course. Noni Madueke was flogged to Arsenal. Penny for his thoughts in London right now. Georgi Petrovic has gone to Bournemouth for £25 million after the gentleman's agreement. Chelsea have also splashed the cash to secure their preferred training facility out in the US, I guess. Chelsea, it's also worth mentioning as well. We need to talk as well about Flamengo losing that game. Ultimately juiced us up. It means we didn't have to face Bayern. It means we went on the easier side of the draw. It means probably, I mean, this team may easily, not easily, but could have won the Club World Cup in the hard side of the draw. But, why not, sort of thing. But it all felt like it was in the stars, isn't it? When we were like, even the loss was like big brain moves. You know what I mean? In terms of how it all ended up. Right. So Chelsea arrived in the tournament with good spirits. I think even with the heat, they've sort of maintained good spirits. The bond has been grown. The new players like Delap and João Pedro's doing interviews like, yeah, well, it's Chelsea. I've come here to win trophies. I've won one immediately in a matter of days. This is Chelsea. Right. A little bit more on, the concerns about Jackson. I won't read all of it. The concerns about Jackson. Will he be sold? Will he be following Noni Madueke out the door? Of course, there's lots and lots and lots of other transfer news business to be done. A big talking point, of course, it obviously is the likes of João Felix and Raheem Sterling. But Christopher Nkunku was involved in that as well. And he's been a relatively good, important part of this experience as well, but I think it might just be a pleasant good bye. Chelsea players will now have a 3-week holiday before reporting back on the 4th of August. It will be, it remains to be seen if this will cook us, if we will get to Christmas and they'll just burn out these players, but hopefully not, because we'll, hopefully have a big squad that's capable of rotating and playing well. Woo! What a journey in the United States of America, and the scintillating heats and the postponed games and the ever-growing squad. No one giving Chelsea chance. The manager, the players, and ultimately proving everyone wrong. David slain Goliath in the final. I mean, not quite. People will talk about Chelsea's money spending, but still, it's David in terms of inexperience, youth, against a Goliath in PSG. Now, the narrative will change. You'll get everyone on your Talk Sports, on your YouTube channels, and your radios, and your podcasts. Can Chelsea challenge for well, Chelsea looks serious now. Can they challenge for the Premier League? I mean, I just think I feel the same. I feel better, but I've felt really good about Chelsea the last few months because they just look like a serious football team again. A good defence. I often talk about how I was having an existential identity crisis as a Chelsea fan under Pochettino purely because the defence was so bad. The defence seems to have sewn itself up. Clean sheet against PSG. Rob Sanchez, I'm so grateful for what it was, a Herculean effort in the final, but I'd need to see way more before I could change my opinion on him being good enough for Chelsea title charge in the Premier League. Even though he made good long balls in that game, he made amazing saves. He also had little wobbly moments, and who knows? Maybe at the late 20s you can still change who you are as a footballer. But we'll see, maybe. But I'm so pleased. I'm very, very grateful to my football club Chelsea for giving me that feeling. And like I said, Club World Cup champions of the world for 4 years. Everyone's talking about Chelsea. Everyone's talking about Cole Palmer. And quite rightly so, everyone's now talking about Enzo Maresca. I got a lot of grief. I'm not this kind of guy to talk about this, but I got a lot of grief on social media, on my YouTube channel here for backing Maresca. And it seems like he's the guy. So let's hope he is, and let's hope it can continue as well. Guys, thank you if you've hung out with me just to talk about this match a little bit more, in a bit more calm, measured detail here. If you do enjoy content made by me, drop a like, subscribe. If you are interested in more, of course, there is additional content on the second channel, Football Yannick. I'm speaking about Arsenal quite a lot recently, and Man United and stuff like that. So go check out Football Yannick on YouTube. And other than that, champions of the world. Peace.